Big news has arrived at the Red Devils. Want all the details? Then stay tuned until the end of the video. But first, if you're a Manchester United fan, show your love and subscribe to the channel now, and turn on notifications. Here, we post daily news and behind-the-scenes stories from the Premier League's biggest club, Manchester United. Thank you. Ruben Amorim was right about Man United vs Liverpool. Now his players need to prove him wrong. Manchester United just pulled off their biggest win under Ruben Amorim so far, a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Liverpool on Sunday. Let's be honest, 11 wins in 35 Premier League games isn't a record any manager would be proud of, especially not at a club like United. But as poor as the numbers look since Amorim's appointment nearly a year ago, there have been flashes of something better. United have taken points off 4 of last season's top 6. Throw in a dramatic penalty shootout win over Arsenal in the FA Cup, and Newcastle is now the only team in that group that United haven't beaten during Amorim's reign. It's a strange contrast when you consider the team's ongoing struggles. Ahead of Sunday's clash with Liverpool, Amorim offered a telling explanation for United's tendency to rise against the big sides. Maybe it's about expectations. When you're expected to win, the pressure is heavier. At a club like Manchester United, you're supposed to win every game. Sometimes we struggle with that. Maybe it's easier for the players when we're not the favourites. But we have to change that. Based on their performance at Anfield, he may be onto something. But while big wins against teams like City, Chelsea and Liverpool make for great headlines, they won't carry United to where they want to be. If this team really wants to climb the table and return to European competition, they need to handle business against the so-called smaller clubs too. It starts with Brighton this weekend, a side that's quietly become a Premier League mainstay, finishing in the top half in 3 of the last 4 seasons. United's recent record against the Seagulls is worrying, 6 losses in the last 8 meetings. That has to change. Then comes a run of crucial fixtures: Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Everton, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth. If United are serious about turning the season around, this is where they prove it. They've shown they can rise to the big occasions. Now, it's time to show they can handle the grind. With performances like the one at Anfield, there's real hope. But consistency, especially against teams outside the spotlight, will define this season. Ruben Amorim was right about Man United vs Liverpool. Now his players need to prove him wrong. Manchester United's 2-1 win over Liverpool wasn't just a standout result. It was a turning point under Ruben Amorim's tenure. After months of inconsistency, tactical doubts, and growing pressure, United finally showed the kind of fight and control fans have been demanding. Amorim called it their most significant win since he took charge, and for good reason. However, one result doesn't change the bigger picture. United remain a team with more questions than answers. Despite flashes of promise against top opposition, their inability to maintain that level against mid- and lower-table teams continues to hold them back. That inconsistency is what Amorim openly addressed before the Liverpool match, suggesting his players sometimes perform better when the pressure is off and expectations are lower. Sunday's performance gave weight to that theory. United played with intensity, tactical discipline, and belief, traits rarely seen in games where they are expected to dominate. But Amorim himself knows that beating Liverpool won't matter much if the team reverts to bad habits in upcoming matches. The next few weeks will define whether this was a breakthrough or a brief high. Fixtures against Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Everton, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Wolves, and Bournemouth are the kind of games United need to win consistently if they want to climb the table and fight for European qualification. Brighton in particular will be a key test. Although not a traditional powerhouse, they've become one of the most tactically sound and competitive sides in the league, and United's recent record against them is poor. 6 losses in their last 8 meetings highlight a bigger issue: a lack of consistency and mental sharpness when facing opponents that don't carry the same reputation as a Liverpool or Manchester City. There are broader consequences at stake, too. The Liverpool win temporarily eases pressure on Amorim, but expectations remain high. The club is in a period of restructuring both on and off the pitch, and the manager knows results are the only thing that can guarantee stability. The board has signaled support, but that backing is conditional, and largely dependent on what happens next. Amorim has emphasized the need for change in mentality. He wants his players to approach every match with the same urgency and belief they showed at Anfield. That's easier said than done. It requires depth, focus, and emotional maturity, all areas where United have come up short over the past year. What comes next will determine how this season is remembered. If United build on this momentum and finally find consistency, the Liverpool win may be seen as the spark that lit the fire. If they stumble again against teams they're expected to beat, it will go down as just another isolated high point in a turbulent campaign. The message is clear: one big win is not enough. Now it's time to prove that Manchester United can show up every weekend, not just when the spotlight is brightest. Ruben Amorim must avoid two dangerous words after United's statement win. Ruben Amorim just delivered the biggest win of his Manchester United reign, a dramatic and deserved 2-1 victory over Liverpool at Anfield. But as powerful as that moment was, he knows better than to get carried away. "I won't overplay the goal," he said calmly after the final whistle. "What we need now is to try to win 3 games in a row. That's what matters. Let's forget about top 4 or top 6 for now. We've said from the start that we want to qualify for Europe. That hasn't changed. We're still the same team we were 90 minutes ago." When asked if United had weathered the storm, his response was clear: "I have no idea. But if we show the same spirit every day, we'll win a lot of matches. That's the only way." His words were measured, even cautious, but it's hard to ignore what this result could mean. Beating Liverpool at Anfield is no small feat, especially after a turbulent start to the season. For the first time in months, the mood around Old Trafford has shifted. The dark clouds have started to part, and suddenly, the outcry after the Brentford match feels like a distant memory. United now sit just 2 points off the top 4, a position that felt miles away just weeks ago. If this is a turning point, it's come at the perfect time. What made Sunday's win so meaningful wasn't just the scoreline. It was how they won. For the first time under Amorim, United managed back-to-back Premier League victories, and they did it the hard way, as always. It felt fitting that it came against Liverpool. Amorim's tactical decisions stood out. He opted for a bold attacking structure without a traditional striker, placing his trust in Bryan Mbeumo, Mason Mount, and Matheus Cunha. The trio delivered. Mbeumo and Amad Diallo, in particular, were electric down the right flank, combining brilliantly within just 2 minutes to open the scoring. Many expected Amorim to go for safer, more defensive wide options, but he backed Amad, and the 23-year-old rewarded him with a fearless first-half display. At the back, Harry Maguire's inclusion over the younger Laney Euro raised eyebrows, but proved to be a masterstroke. It was Maguire who rose highest in the 84th minute to nod home the winner, vindicating Amorim's choice and silencing critics once again. Amorim later explained that Maguire's experience and aerial ability were the reasons behind the selection. What he didn't mention is that the 32-year-old still has match-winning moments left in him. Another smart call came in midfield. Despite concerns over fatigue after international duty, Casemiro played the full 90 minutes and looked every bit the seasoned leader United needed. Amorim admitted he relied on intuition when picking his starting 11, and after a performance like that, maybe he should trust his instincts more often. But now comes the real test. Amorim must make sure this result isn't what so many United managers have called it in the past, a false dawn. Those 2 words have haunted Old Trafford for years. For all the talk of progress, the club remains without European football this season. Whether that's a blessing or a burden is up for debate. Mount touched on this after the Sunderland win, saying, "Sometimes it's tough when there's only 1 game a week. There's too much time to think. After Brentford, we were hurting, all of us. We know we can do better. And waiting for that next match felt like forever. The wait is over now. Brighton are up next, a dangerous, well-organised side that's caused United serious problems in recent seasons. The evening kickoff at Old Trafford should help create a charged atmosphere, something this team thrives on. Then comes Nottingham Forest, who've already sacked 2 managers this season, and a huge away trip to face Tottenham. If results go United's way, they could be back in the Champions League places by the November international break. But none of that happens unless this win over Liverpool becomes a launching pad, and not just another isolated moment of hope. This cannot be another false dawn. The victory at Anfield felt like a breath of fresh air for Manchester United, not just because of the result, but because of the manner in which it was achieved. Still, Ruben Amorim has been in football long enough to understand that emotional highs are often short-lived if not backed up by consistency. Inside the dressing room, there's a clear understanding. This win cannot be the destination. It must be the beginning of something more. For the players, the performance in Liverpool was a release, a reminder of what they're capable of when focused, unified, and bold. But Amorim made it clear in his post-match comments that nothing has really changed, not yet. United are still chasing stability, and still sitting in a league table that demands more than the occasional statement win. That's what makes the next few matches critical. Brighton visit Old Trafford next, a team that has caused United real problems in recent seasons. Then come games against Nottingham Forest and Tottenham. If United want to build something lasting, they need to prove they can grind out results not just in high-pressure moments, but in weeks where they're expected to dominate. Amorim has already shown his tactical adaptability. His decision to drop a traditional striker and play a fluid, interchangeable front three worked wonders at Anfield. His trust in Amad Diallo and Brian Bumo paid off, and the recall of Harry Maguire added leadership at the back when it was needed most. Even the inclusion of Casemiro, who had played long minutes for Brazil, showed Amorim's willingness to lean into experience when the moment demands it. But as many United managers before him have learned, one good decision, or one good week, is not enough. The Premier League is unforgiving. There's no time to settle, no room to relax. Internally, the message is simple: keep the intensity. Keep the edge. Do not let this become another false dawn, the very phrase that has haunted the club in recent years. Managers have come and gone, each one hoping that a signature victory might spark a revival. Too often, it hasn't. And yet, there are reasons for quiet optimism. The squad looks sharper. The tactical identity is taking shape. The players, especially the younger ones, seem more confident and committed. Most importantly, Amorim's words after the game showed a manager focused not on celebration, but on what comes next. He knows better than to dwell on praise. He's seen what happens when teams lose focus after one big night. The road ahead is still uncertain. But if United can take the emotion and energy from Anfield and apply it with the same precision and commitment over the next month, they'll not only climb the table, they'll change the conversation entirely. And maybe then, Amorim won't need to avoid the phrase false dawn. He'll have replaced it with real momentum.